been about a year since Miles got bitten by a spider in the first game. He and his mother has moved to Harlem. Pete and Miles go to protect a prison convoy. Miles makes a mistake and the prisoners, which includes Rhino, escape. After struggling to contain the beast, he takes down Pete. Miles refuses to leave and faces Rhino head on, and discovers a new ability he has, Venom Punch, one that Pete doesn't have. He uses it to take down Rhino. Then Pete, who's looking like he's had some work done since the last time we've seen him, tells Miles he'll be going overseas with MJ for a few weeks for her job. Then they part ways after Pete gives Miles a Christmas present. He opens it with Ganke, his friend that knows he's Spidey. It's a new suit. Ganke informs Miles of a suspected break-in. He goes to the location and notices a video message of Simon Krieger, leader of a company called Roxon, talking about Nuform, a new, better, safer source of fuel, of which he's planning on making worldwide reactors. That's when he gets ambushed by people with advanced weapons who were talking about Nuform shipments. Once the enemies are dealt with, Miles rushes home for Christmas dinner. Turns out his mother, Rio, is running for city council. Ganke and Finn, Miles' best friends, were invited to Christmas. It became clear that Rio opposed Simon Krieger and Roxon heavily in her campaign. When washing the dishes, Miles and Finn, who haven't seen each other in months, decide to meet up tomorrow, just the two of them. That night, Ganke makes an app that allows people to ask Spider-Man for help. The first person to ask for help was Miles' uncle. They had stopped seeing each other because he and Miles' father weren't on good terms, but Miles doesn't know why. Miles' uncle works at the subway station now, but he had some interference. Trains weren't moving. Turns out the men from the previous night, who called themselves the Underground, were ironically using Underground to smuggle Nuform. But Miles was able to fix the situation before his uncle says that he knows Miles is Spider-Man. He offers himself as someone to talk to if needed. Miles meets Finn, and it's clear she's not sharing something about her brother Rick, who worked for Roxon. Miles and Ganke go to Rio's rally, which the Underground sabotage and attack. This attack didn't make sense to Miles because he thought they were just after Nuform. Then there was a sudden explosion at a bridge, so it appears that the rally attack was just a distraction to steal some more Nuform. The leader of the Underground, the Tinkerer, appears and fights Spidey. He unmasks her, and it turns out that the Tinkerer is Finn. Finn is able to escape and Miles used his powers, which created a large explosion on the bridge. He was able to save everyone, but Roxon blamed Spidey for what happened. Luckily, out of fear, Miles turned invisible, a new ability. He used that as an opportunity to escape. Miles asked his mother to quit because he's scared of losing another parent, but she replied that she won't stop fighting for her home. After feeling sad for a while, Miles realized he needs to be his own Spider-Man. So he made his own suit, one that reflects his individuality. That helps him stop feeling sorry for himself, and he goes to Finn's old repair shop as an attempt to figure out why she's doing all this. It appeared abandoned, but there was a video recording showing Rick very sick and blaming Nuform. Rick and Finn attempted to stop Roxon by destroying the Nuform Rick made, but something went terribly wrong. Miles used the computer to track Finn's phone, but he was being watched. Miles tracks it to the Nuform lab where she must have dropped it. He gets caught by the Prowler, someone Miles' father, who was a policeman, was looking for. He unmasks himself to be his uncle Aaron. He gives Miles some advice on the easiest way to infiltrate the lab, as he too had some affiliation with Roxon. Miles finds the phone and it has a recording of them in there trying to destroy the reactor, but Krieger found out and Finn watched as her brother was murdered for trying to protect the city. Miles wants to finish what they started. He absorbs all of the energy from the reactor core. Uncle Aaron helps Miles get out of the lab, but then he tells him that Miles' father cut him out of his life when he told him that he was the Prowler, so he advised Miles not to tell Finn that he's Spidey, even though he wants to. He thinks Miles should act like he wants to join the underground, so he could steal the new form off her and destroy it, as it's clear she doesn't have the same intentions that she did before. So Miles meets Finn at a cafe. He was able to play her and got invited to join the underground. Through conversations it became clear Finn and the underground formed a deal, but they weren't the same thing. The underground wants exposure and she wants Krieger to go down. Finn takes Miles to Fisk Tower, where their base is. Miles looks around for information on the new form's whereabouts, then returns as Spider-Man after telling Finn he needs to go home. Spidey finds a secret underground passage. He spots a map with locations where the new form is. But at the location, Ganke asks Miles to reconsider telling her he's Spider-Man, as it could make her reconsider her plan. He finds out her plan is to blow up Roxon Plaza using new form, similar to how Miles blew up the bridge. He confronts Finn and starts chasing her down. Eventually, Spidey reveals his identity, and she retreats. Miles goes to talk to his uncle, who helps him clear his mind. But then he tells Aaron where he's gonna meet Finn, in Trinity Church. Once Miles leaves, Aaron calls Roxon and tells them where they're planning on meeting. He says they can have the girl, but to leave Miles alone. The meeting was going well when they got attacked by a Roxon-enhanced Rhino and got captured. They wanted Miles too because Krieger thinks that he can use his venom defenses to make money, but Miles is able to use his venom to get them both out. On the way out, they overheard Aaron talking with Krieger that they agreed not to get Spider-Man involved. During their long escape, Finn told Miles that she missed him and hoped he'd call, especially after Rick's death. But then Rhino appeared, so they worked together to take down Rhino. When Miles went to Krieger's lab to collect info that can show Roxon for what they truly are, he saw Krieger improve the reactor core. So if Finn actually goes ahead with her plan, she would blow up the whole of Harlem. Meanwhile, Rhino mocks Finn about her brother, so she attacks him. Miles senses it and responds by attacking her, as Spidey doesn't like killing. But she clobbers Miles and warns him if he ever gets in her way again, she'll kill him. Miles makes his way home injured, and his mum sees him as Spider-Man. He explains everything to her, and they have a beautiful heart-to-heart about how Miles reminds her more of his dad every day. Rio and Ganke go door to door to evacuate the people of Harlem, while Miles goes to stop Finn from blowing up Roxon Plaza, as there could be casualties. On his way there, he gets ambushed by his uncle, who locked him in a cell to protect him. He wants Finn and Roxon to kill each other so his nephew could be safe. He doesn't want to lose anybody else, but Miles isn't the type to stand by and watch this happen, so he broke out and beat up his uncle. He left him alive but told him that they are done for good, and he can't turn his back on the people that need him. Immediately after, he goes to Oscorp Science Center, that's closed for renovation. That's where Finn is. He defeats the underground security outside and makes his way in. When he enters, he has a flashback of his and Finn's science project going up on display in this exhibit in this very building back in middle school. Suddenly, Miles gets attacked by Finn. She takes the new form and leaves to Harlem to destroy the reactor. He follows her there. Ganke calls Miles to tell him that he's got 12 people to safety. At Harlem, there are both underground and Roxon soldiers, so Spidey takes them down to make it safe for people in the streets. Finn started destroying Roxon Plaza when Uncle Aaron appears out of nowhere, telling Miles that he'll get everyone to safety so that Miles can confront his best friend. Miles tells her that destroying Roxon Plaza would destroy Harlem too, but she's having none of it. She thinks he's lying to her again. They continue fighting while the reactor core is getting more and more critical. Even after Miles tells her that Rick wouldn't want to see her like this, she refuses to see reason. But after she actually sees what's happening to the reactor core, she's visibly very regretful. The ledge she's on collapses, and as Miles swoops down to save her, she apologizes and he forgives her. Miles shuts off the reactor core by harboring a lot of energy that he needs to release. And with civilians surrounding them, in an act of redemption, Finn flies Miles as high as possible. Even when he didn't want to, she comforted him, telling him to do it. He unleashes the explosion, killing Finn in the process. 4 weeks later, we find out Aaron told the police of his affiliation with Roxon and told them of their illegal doings together. In doing so, Krieger got put behind bars and Aaron got a reduced sentence. When Pete returned, Miles asked him whether being Spider-Man ever gets easier. He responded, "Some things do, but not everything." In an after-credits scene, we see Harry Osborn getting released by his father Norman, setting up the sequel. Thanks for watching the video. Like the video if you enjoyed it, comment your thoughts about the story, and make sure you subscribe if you want more video game story summaries. I'll see you later.